Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to day two of our Environment Impact Assessment training session. I hope you had some time to reflect on yesterday's discussions and insights. If you have any question regarding yesterday's class, you can write in the chat box. And today we will build on that foundation by exploring sector-specific EIA practices. We will look at real-world case studies and engage in some interactive hands-on training. And these activities are designed basically to strengthen your practical understanding, or it helps to see how theory is applied in the real field. So I can share my screen through this. Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you. Okay. So yesterday we explored the fundamentals of EIA, its definition, purpose, and significance in ensuring sustainable development. And we saw how EIA act as a nature's traffic light, guiding whether a project should go forward, be modified, or be halted. So we discussed the evolution of EIA also, its definition, and from its origin in the USA in 1969. This is the history of EIA. Its origin from USA in 1969, its formal adoption in India, especially the major milestones like the 1994 and 2006 EIA notification. We also understood the regulatory bodies involved, MOEF and CC, SIA and SIAC, and their roles. And we then covered the 8-step EIA procedure, including screening, scoping, and impact analysis, mitigation measures, reporting, review process, decision making, and monitoring compliance, and the most important, public hearing. So these are the main topics we covered. We also covered about the project categorizations and where EIA is mandatory under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 projects. So this is what we covered, and except that, we also see the one report, which is a report of a plant or industrial project, expansion of existing 24-ton TPA billet unit and rolling mill product. We had learned yesterday about the chapter 1, that EIA has 12 chapter, and we see chapter 1 and chapter 2 of this EIA report. This is one type of EIA report, one sector we covered in EIA report. I will show you the full project details. After chapter 1 and chapter 2, we will reach to chapter 3. Yes. So from here, we started chapter 3, the description of the environment. The description of the environment means after chapter 1, the project description, and chapter 2 about the description of the full details of the project and introduction part, we reach the point of the environment, that where the industry is established or to be installed. So we have to know before EC that where the industry is installed or located, what is the environment of this site, about the soil, about the water, about the geography, about the air, everything we have to mention in chapter 3 of description of the environment. So first we have to mention about the 10-kilometer radius that we will take during the project site visit, and also we will have to mark one season, that is from March to May, or we will take 3 season, we will take First from October to December, second from February to March, and one from I think it is from first from October to December, from December to February, and from March to May, February to May. This is the 3 time period we will take the baseline data from the site. And in baseline data, we have basically air, noise, water, soil, ecology, biodiversity, socio-economic environment, and also the climate of the study area. So the study area of the project site is done within 10-kilometer radius of the proposed project site, where we take the micrometeorological, ambient air quality, noise level, ground and surface water quality, the soil quality, land use pattern, geology and hydrology, biological environment, and socio-economic aspect of the study area, which is again, I repeat, the 10-kilometer radius around the project site. Not only on the project site, not about the 1 or 2 kilometer radius, it is a constant, which is 5. In mining case, we will take 5-kilometer radius, and in industrial case, we will take 10-kilometer radius around the project site. So the study area is again the component and methodology of the study area, which we will take environmental component and methodology. Here we can see the environmental components. We will take air, water, noise, soil, land use, ecology, hydrology, their parameters. That means what we will take in from air. So meteorological parameter, temperature, the temperature of that surrounding, the wind direction, the RF and PF of the, the wind direction of the area. And this the methodology we used is Meteorological Monitoring Guidance Laboratory, USEPA, and modeling applications. From air, from ambient air quality, the parameters we will take is PM10, PM2.5, SO2, NOx, and CO, carbon monoxide. So these are the compulsory parameter. Apart from that, we will also take the ozone and other parameters. So we for this we will have a methodology IS 5182 CPCB guideline for measurement of ambient air pollutants. And for water, the water quality or surface and groundwater parameters are taken. So for that, standard limits are IS 2296, ground IS 10500. Participant who belongs from chemistry or environmental background understand about the quality and the parameters we will take during the site visit. And noise, ambient noise quality, assessment for noise is IS 9989 methodology we will use. For soil quality is pH, EC, BD, infiltration, texture, SAR, key nutrients, and etc. The micronutrients and macronutrients from soil are we have to analyze. So for that, sampling methodology is IS 2720. For land use, Bhuvan NRSA, from Bhuvan NRSA, we will take the data for the land use and land cover information. Next is ecological study area. We will take from there the floristic and diversity and the terrestrial ecosystem, that is the flora and fauna of that area. The field study and the secondary data are the main source. That means the forest area information from the district survey report and the forest survey report from that reason. And from socioeconomic, the demographic and occupational details, the agriculture situations, etc., have to be mentioned at the time of the survey. And for that, we use the data from census 2011 and district report public consultation by questionnaires and survey from nearby areas, the grams and other localities. And for hydrology and geology, the geological and hydrological geomorphic studies have to be done, and from the Geological Survey of India or NRSC. And for traffic study, where the PCU per hour data has to be taken, and for that IRC 641990 methodology is used. So these are the methodology and the parameters we will must take from the site visit or the during the study period time. And this third chapter is involved in EIA report, and we will make this data after the completion of TOR or scoping step. So next is establishment of baseline for valued environmental components, and for this starting from the subheadings, that is air environment, and from there the every component we will take is submerged in this report. So from air environment you have to mention the micrometeorological data. For this we also have for comparison we will have a secondary data from IMD of that nearby region or district. For this report, the IMD data for Hazaribagh district is given. This is the IMD data of Hazaribagh district. It is available online 1981 to 2010. And from all the months we have as we can see that all the data are available in the site and mentioned in the EIA report for secondary data as secondary data and for the comparison of the primary data. So this is the primary data of the meteorological parameter for from that site. So this parameter is taken from 1st March to 31st May, and additional November 2021 is also recorded for extra study. So on-site meteorological parameters is mentioned here, and the comparison is also given in this report. I think no, there is no comparison is written here. No, yes. Comparison of primary meteorological data with IMD data is written. That means the maximum and minimum temperature for primary data was 43 and 18.8 degrees Celsius. So these are the, in this way we can write the comparison of primary data with the IMD data. And then the ambient air quality quality report is given here. After the selection of sampling location, before going to the site visit or before going to take a baseline data from the project site, we have to make a requisition form or make requisition for whether we will have to take the actual sample from the area. So within 10-kilometer radius, you have to mention all the 8 or maybe 10 sometime we will have, if the project impact is much larger or the project is implemented in some critical areas, some residential areas, some more polluted areas, then we will have to take 10 or 12 locations within 10-kilometer radius or apart from 10-kilometer radius. But when the project location is normal and moderate, then we have to take at least or maximum 8 location. So for this report, they will have take 8 location with all the latitude and longitude. As you can see, the distance and direction is mentioned in the air quality monitoring location. The distance is 4.10, 2.13. As the impact of the project is not too much, that's why all the directions are taken or distance are mentioned within 5-kilometer radius. And you have to just write the justification why you choose the point, why you choose the location. So justification is also there. Okay. With that, I can also want to share one thing, that if you interested in understanding the technical foundation of EIA, you have to we have another program. So if you want, you can join on our 1-month session also, which we take after 1 month. A training program. So where you can see the detailed air monitoring locations, how we can see or we can take the monitoring locations and other parameters, technical parameters basically, we will take for the EIA report. And the methodology, as I mentioned earlier, that methodology we will use are written also, the technical protocol and the techniques. These are the compulsory points we will have to mention in EIA report, every EIA report in fact. So the data analysis is also given there. And after the analysis or sampling of the data, after data analysis in the lab, we will have a ambient air quality report. So these are the location code. The 8 locations are mentioned. For this report, they will take a 1 month, one baseline month and one extra month data. So that's why here 2 data are written, but basically one data is only mentioned for 3 months. So March to May data 2021 is written like this. So PM10 data, PM2.5, SO2 and NOx data are mentioned like this. On that basis, we will have to make a graphic representation of all the parameters, and then the interpretation part is compulsory. From that mentioned in the report, that where the concentration of pollution is high or concentration of pollution is low, and we will also have to compare all the data based on the sample location. Next is the noise environment. As like air environment, you also take the same methodology and different methodology, but the same methods we used for the writing the report, and the noise level were recorded at 8 location as similar as air. Basically, we will take the noise location where the air location is located. So noise level were recorded as per the IS 9989, and the evolution sound pressure level is mentioned. Also the data analysis and this monitoring location map is very important. So every report have a monitoring location or a location map with the report. After the map, the noise monitoring location is also mentioned. As you can see, the same almost the same location is mentioned in the noise monitoring location as I saw you earlier for the air monitoring location. So this is a noise level data of daytime and nighttime, and based on the data, here is the equivalent noise level location or graphic representation of the data. Next is interpretation of noise level based on the data available, and next is traffic study report. So traffic study also carried out on the same place based on the locations we mark. Here at least 3 location is compulsory for the traffic study, and the summarized data is mentioned in the EIA report. That means what are the roadside, what are the outgoing and incoming roadside is available there, the traffic locations, the contracting point, all points are mentioned in the report of traffic data. So pie chart is also compulsory, or you have to prepare for the for showing the data of, and then the existing traffic scenario, because it is a expansion project. So in case of a greenfield project, you have to set existing traffic scenario and the proposed traffic scenario after the installation of the project. So based on this, the interpretation is done. Next is the water environment. In water environment, we have a groundwater level quality and the surface water level quality. So again, for the groundwater quality, monitoring locations are mentioned in this report, and we here also the 8 location is mentioned. At least 6 groundwater location is compulsory, and if the project site is more critical or in moderate to normal, then you have to take more than 6 or minimum 6. So for this project, they have take 8 locations, and for surface water, they have also take 8 locations for this. All the direction and distance, lat long are mentioned in this report. So based on the location, the groundwater sampling map and the surface water sampling map you have to mention in the report. And this is the data of groundwater quality from March to May. Next, this is the data of surface water quality March to May. You can see the parameter of the surface water quality and the groundwater quality. All the parameter, mainly those parameter which is compulsory to know compulsory to know the quality of groundwater, the quality of surface water, the hardness, the calcium alkalinity, chloride, the pH, the E. coli, the coliform of the surface water or groundwater, every parameter which is there to call the quality of the groundwater or surface water is mentioned, compulsory to mention in the report. So based on that, after the data analysis, you have to mention the interpretation of the data. And then as equally the soil environment is also mentioned. So basically the location, the lat long, distance and justification is compulsory to mention about the site where you have to take the data, from where you have to take the sample. It is compulsory to mention for the interpretation of the data, or to know about the surrounding of the environment, or where the project is located or where the project is going to install. So this is the parameter, and on the basis of the physiochemical properties of the soil, the interpretation is again done. Here you can see in the interpretation section, the soil texture. They compare the soil texture, they compare the pH. As you can see, the pH found March to May 2001, and 1 month additional data in November 2021 between 7.45 to 7.86 and 7.58 to 7.81 respectively, which shows the soil of entire study area is neutral to slightly alkaline and moderately alkaline. So this is how we can write in the EIA report about the parameter, the interpretation of different data mentioned in the important for the project. As same, the land use and land cover is also mentioned, but the land use and land cover is the for this, the methodology we will use is the thematic data extraction from the satellite imagery. So based on that, you can write the methodology and the data after the when the map you can extract. So this is a satellite map of 10-kilometer radius area, and this is the LULC map. This is land use land cover map of 10-kilometer study area. Next is the contour map of the study area, digital elevation map, and these are the map you have to mention in EIA report for complete analysis or description of the environment where the project is located. Next is the geology and hydrology of the study area. Based on the geology and the geomorphology of the study area, you have to write the section, and the drainage section of the drainage area or drainage history of that area. In this project, the Talaiya Dam reservoir and the Jharia Dam and the Bhangavan Dam are 2.60 kilometer, 3.81 kilometer, and 7.90 kilometer are there within the 10 kilometer radius of the project site. So 3 dams are under the 10 kilometer radius of the project site. So you have to mention what are the impact of and the nearby surrounding environment. So next is the soil type of that area, the geology of the area, and the hydrogeology of that area. All the area which I have said, that all area, the all area is under 10 kilometer radius of the project site. Okay, the study of landslide, flood study area, you have got this from the site, and status of groundwater development, the water conservation and artificial recharge, all the small and simple data you have to mention in the environment of in description of the environment, chapter 3. Next is the important is socio-economic environment, and the socio-economic environment, the baseline is taken from the primary census abstract 2011, and again the study area is 10 kilometer radius, and then the list of village for the field survey of socio-economic is there. So all the village, their distance from the project site. See the project site and their distance. The Barhi, Kondra, Ujjain, Basaria, Harila, Karso, Katiun, Karimati, Rasoia Daman, Nagar Barsto. So all this from 1.1 kilometer to 9.2 kilometer. All the project site, all the location from within the project site of 10 kilometer radius is taken. including their directions. So here it is written that villages are within the core zone of the study area. So study area have the village side and within 3 kilometers and are adjacent to the project site. So villages are in the buffer zone of the study area and were selected randomly by using a judgmental and purposive simple method considering their population size. So those villages which are very near or adjacent to the project site is mentioned, and those villages which are in the buffer zone of the project site is also mentioned. So based on that, we can take the demographic structure of that area. The number of villages is 102. The sex ratio, the scheduled caste, the literates, the male literates, agricultural labor, other, the marginal workers, all have to mention from the census data in the CIA report, or by when you go to the village and meet the nearby people. So demographic structure of the village in the study area in 10-kilometer radius is mentioned. This data is based on the census data. So this is the demographic profile of Barhi. As you can see, Barhi is the adjacent project village of the project site. So here the total population is 11,867, and which 6,107,51 were male, 5,560 were females, and the population in the age range is 0 to 6 years was 1755. So total number of literate person in Barhi is 8,140, which is 80.50 of the population over 6 years. So this is how we can write the demographic profile of the study area or nearby the study area project site. This is the household and population, the sex ratio and child sex ratio, scheduled caste, literacy rate. All you have to mention in the report in the socioeconomic section of the EIA report of third chapter. Next, these are all from the census data, and the infrastructure resource based on the study, the education facility, medical facility, all you have to mention, and you get the data from the census. So this is the abbreviation of all the data: the power supply, approach road, the transportation and the communication, the medical facilities, all. Next is the railway station. So 79.7 kilometer long first stage railway projects from Kodarma to Hazaribagh is inaugurated by PM on 20th Feb 2015. So this is all mentioned in this report, and then local news and the reports you have to mention in the report. So infrastructure resources in the village study area, everything is mentioned in socio-economic parameter of the EIA. So employment generation potential, because employment generation potential is very important, because the existing manpower of the plant is 57. See, so the estimated additional direct manpower is required because the project is going to expansion. So compared on comparison, 300 numbers of workers is employed from that study area, that's from that local area. So employment generation from we thought that if any industry is established in any area, then there is a probably a chance of employment from that area. So that's why employment generation potential of the project is very important to mention in report. And assessment of the quality life in the study area, all this. Now the next part is ecology and biodiversity. So ecology and biodiversity of the area, this is how the core zone and 10-kilometer radius buffer zone, all this two zone is very important for any projects. So you have to mention the core zone, that is the project site, and the buffer zone, that is 10-kilometer radius from the project site. So this is how we can write the core and buffer zone of the study area. Objective of the study is to understand the ecological status, and biological study are terrestrial ecology, aquatic ecology. So mode of data collection and parameters considering during the survey is by field survey or from authentic source like Forest Department of Jharkhand or any state where the project is located or going to installed. the GSI and BSI literature published in the site. Anywhere from the official site, you can mention the data or collect the data from the site. And the parameters of monitor are flora and fauna diversity. Again, from the authentic side, you have to take the flora and fauna diversity of the study area, the vegetation, the forest, and some important information you have to take from the site. Next, for the aquatic biodiversity, field survey is important. And main remark is the floral diversity. We will take from random survey, sampling, inventory, walking transact, and the collection and identification with the help of the people or the nearby area. Next, for the planting study, Lookie drop method and light microscope, random survey and opportunities observations are there. And this is how we can take the data from the site. But basically, what happened in actual field area is we have to take data, maximum data from the authentic source and from the forest department of the state where the project is installed or going to be installed. Next is the general features of the study area. The general features of the study area is written where is the area is located, what is the main baseline data of baseline information, the baseline time of the project. All these are written in this report. Or again, what are the local crops, what are the local animals are there. The riparian environment is also mentioned in ecological biodiversity report. That is the riparian flora of the Talaiya reservoir was studied during the site visit. It is what you have visited during the site is compulsory to mention in the report, because many times we don't have a site visit for compulsory for the biological and ecological report. So if you go for the biological survey and ecological survey of the site, then you must see what are the ecological or biodiversity of that project site or the surrounding area, and must have to mention in the report. And the terrestrial flora and fauna is mentioned in this report. The core zone, as I say, the project site we can take the project site as a core zone and the buffer zone as the 10-kilometer radius. So next is the forest type of Jharkhand. From the site, you can take the data for the forest site of the state. And the forest cover of Jharkhand are mentioned in this report. Forest cover inside and the Hazaribagh district. Cropping pattern of the study area, you have to mention what are the crop variety of that area, the vegetables, the cereals, the pulses, everything. What you have seen is written in this report. So next is socio and agroforestry. Next is the grassland. So small data are mentioned, every small data, every little data and the survey information is mentioned in the description of environment. So as you can see, everything from soil to water to biodiversity, everything is mentioned during the writing of description of environment for the project site, from the project site. So this is how the third chapter is prepared. And you have to mention the common fish recorded in the buffer zone, the list of endangered species, because if any schedule 1 or schedule 2 species, basically the schedule 1 species is recorded during the survey or during the time of the information, if anyone, for this, the Pavo cristis Indian peafowl, the schedule 1 species is recorded during the survey. So that's why if this project is going for wildlife conservation plan, because if any type of schedule 1 is recorded during the time of survey or by any information from the site, that area is in that area any schedule 1 species is found, then this project must have to go for the wildlife conservation plan, and based on the data the interpretation is done. So as you see in 3 Schedule 1, the avifauna species, namely white rumpled vulture, Indian vulture and Indian peafowl, and 2 Schedule 1 mammals species, Indian pangolin and sloth bear, are reported within wildlife study area. So wildlife conservation plan has been prepared and submitted to Chief Wildlife Warden of the region, and detailed budget allocation for the implementation of various activities proposed under the plan and has been mentioned in chapter 4. As I say earlier yesterday, that chapter 4 is completely a technical chapter for the EIA report, where you can impact analysis is done based on the description of environment, what you can identify during the time of survey, and you write in the chapter 4 the description of environment, all the technical parameter, the mitigation measures you have to mention during the chapter 4. So this is all about chapter 3 and description of the project site. Before going to chapter 4, if you have any question or any type of interaction, you can write in the chat box, or after 5 minutes we will start again. What are the documents and proof to be submitted to the government bodies for a new mining project and for an abandoned mine site it concerned with EIA? There are many, because what type of mining project is you are talking about, I don't know, but for them basically mining projects are which are small in amount or small in quantity. They are mm, they are passed by SIA state, that is SIA and SIAC. So for every state, few documents are different, but for compulsory documents are basically the land document, the DFO wildlife clearance, which basically the terrestrial and the wildlife for terrestrial and wait, I will show you. I will show you some documents of mining. Can everyone see my screen? Hello?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is the Kargaon stone mine project, and if you see the document, because every document is different, every for every state and every project. So the basic documents we will need is a DFO territorial and DFO wildlife. Yes, the CO letter, the land document, and the approved mine plan, and yes, see. Yes. The DSR of the district. Yes. Yes. Basically, you have to go with the documents of DFO wildlife clearance, the land documents of the lease area or the project site, or DFO territorial, and CO letter, the DSR of that area, and if any clusters are there, then you have to share the cluster report also. And the compulsory report is Form 1 and the PFR of the project. So with that document, you have to go to the state board or SIA or SIACA for the approval of at least TOR, and then go for the EIA report for EC. Okay. Anyone having any question, you can write in the chat box or you can ask. Yes, sure. You have all the reports from the Parivesh site. At the end, I show you how you can download the reports, different state report, different sectors report from the Parivesh portal site. At the end of the session, I will show you. I think no one have any question. So can I ask, or if you are interested, or if you want, you can please write why you are here or why you are interested in EIA study or EIA sector or this career, and please mention your background with your answer. Please, everyone, I requested everyone, please write in the chat box why are you interested in EIA and with your background. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samruddhi. I request everyone, please answer my question. Why you are interested in this EIA training program, and what is your background? Okay. Yes, there are a lot of testing required because we have to check or mention every component of environment, basically around the project site of 10-kilometer radius. Yes. Hmm. No, sir, Dr. Vijaya Raghavan, sir. It is compulsory for every project that testing is or the practical knowledge is important for EIS study. And I think in for many projects, basically for the impact level, mainly high impact level projects, we must have to take the responsibility for go to the survey site visit and to survey all the parameters for the analysis. Yes, we have our next course after 1 month for 1 month EIA program. We will take also the 3 month EIA course for full details, technical details especially because technical details are compulsory for EIA reporting. Without the technical or depth knowledge, you can't prepare EIA. If I show you one report or I can show you one or two report, the case studies, you can't prepare a complete EIA report because 12 experts are combined to complete one EIA report, and then we will submit in front of ministry, whether a ministry of center or a state. Yes, Jagriti, if you want to interested in the depth knowledge of EIA, you can join our next session. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you everyone to take interest and share your views about the training session. And let's, yes, Devismita, frequently have projects of this type, but Yes, sir. Basically, this basic environmental study is we will launch our basic knowledge for 3 days or 1 month program for the students who are engaged in the course, basically in the field of EIA, sorry, in the field of environmental science or environmental engineering. If they are interested to build a career in the field of EIA, in the field of consultancy, in the field of sustainability, then this training program is very beneficial for them. I request all of the teachers or the professors in this program that please go and engage your students to have this type of training program for their career opportunities. For this only the basic education they need is the graduation level of geological, geographical, the environmental science degree. That's it. So anyone having a biological background, anyone having geographical, the science background, they can compete in this market. Yes, so in many cases, for the intersections interpretation course or in the middle of the college program, they many students come in our university in our organizations for the 1 month or 2 week courses for the basic course of to know about the EIA and to get the knowledge in the field. Okay, then thank you, all of you. Then we will start again from chapter 4. And this is the anticipated environmental impact and mitigation measure. As I say earlier, after the chapter 3 description of environment, we will move to chapter 4. And here we will discuss what we analyze in chapter 3. So after the full 3 month survey of the description of the environment, after the all the componental analysis, we will move and go for the impact. What are the major impact happen or will go to the project site, and what are the mitigations measure for that by the project proponent. Next. So here is the identification and characterization of impact due to the project location. See, first we have to write about the impact and mitigation measure due to the project location, and then the mitigation measure due to the project design. So there is a difference between the design and the project location. So only when you take the project location, you can disturb many floral and faunal diversity of that project site. First, and due to the project design, the rolling mill produces economically viable finished product. The proposed project envisages following state-art technology, the rolled product, the waste management measures we have to take in care. And then the impact and mitigation during the construction. The project activities are civil work, fabrication, vehicular movement, disposal of solid waste generation, and the impact and mitigation measure during the operational phases due to the project activity is the transportation of raw material, the product and personnel, wastewater management, gaseous emissions management. So pollution sources from those activities are cooling tower, flue gases, noise from DG set, furnace, mills, compressor, and the storage and handling of solid waste. So these are the part. What I say that small part we have to mention in this report. So affected environmental parameters are air quality, soil quality, water quality, biological environment, and the socio-economic condition of that region. The impact matrix on that basis we have to write that if we storage of the if we store the raw materials, then during the transportation the air is get polluted, the water get polluted, the land and soil get polluted, the aesthetics get polluted. So this is how, due to the transportation of raw material, air pollution, noise pollutions happen. So in this way, this is the part of construction phase, and during the time of operational phase, this is how we will analyze the environmental attributes and their pollution level. So this is how we prepare an impact identification matrix. Next is the characteristics of environmental impact from construction phases. So dismelting of existing induction furnace, because what is written in this heading, that expansion of existing billet plant by addition 2 into 12 ton induction furnace with CCM, and replacement of existing 1 into 8 ton furnace by 1 into 12 ton induction furnace. So they dismelt the induction furnace, and by smelting we have a different type of pollution. So air, noise and land water are polluted due to the dismelting of the existing induction furnace. And for that, the causes are evacuation of the area, noise generation, the storing of scrap from land, water from that is potential for seepage or waste storage area. The nature of the attributes are direct negative or short term, because after dismelting they again prepare a 1 into 12 ton of induction furnace. So it is reversible, and the significant mitigations measures are personal protective equipment. The PPE will be used by everyone. So site clearing also get some pollution, and due to transportation, due to construction activities, due to disposal of scraps, due to transportation of sponge iron, pig iron and alloys to the site, because these are the raw materials. So we have to take the responsibility for the transportation, and due to the transportation of raw material, air pollution is happen, and dust and gases are to be in the environment. And then the charging of material, the operation of induction furnace, the slag crusher unit also generate some pollution. Due to the casting of billet, some solid waste generated, some consumption of water is happen, and due to rolling mill and roll product production, we have to deplete some water, noise pollution is done, solid waste generation, DG set operation, air pollution, noise pollution are the main attribute for that. Domestic waste are water pollution, operation and domestic utilization. The development, due to the development of green belt, what happened? The positive impact are happened due to the development of green belt. For the proper green belt in the periphery of the premises, as I say yesterday, that 33% of the area is fulfilled. We have to fulfill by the trees or by the plantation, and it is compulsory. And employment generation is directly positive impact are happen due to the employment generation. So these are the impact area for the establishment or expansion of the project. Next is the land environment, and due to the construction phase, operational phase, there is a land pollution, and for that we have to write some mitigation measure, where you can see the loss of biomass due to cutting of vegetation can be compensated by planting 25,000 tree or plant per hectare. And which is because they planted 25,000 plants, because the 25,000 plants per hectare is in the norms of MOEF NCC for completing 33% of green belt in any industrial area or industrial developmental projects. Next is the air environment for construction phase. During the construction phase, there are air pollution due to the evacuation, leveling and material handling, and due to the traffic or transportation. In operational phase also, due to the emission of point source, that is a stack, due to the emission of area source, due to the fugitive emission. And for this we incorporate a dispersion modeling study by air mode in every report. for the detailed analysis or detailed impact prediction of the project site by air pollution. Next, and this is the air modeling of that project site of 24 hours incremental concentration for PM10. Next is a result and discussion based on the modeling and the air quality index we have to mention to show the quality of air after and before the project implementation. Next. Detail of air pollution control facilities, because if the pollution is happened due to the project installation or expansion, then we have to control the pollution, and for this we have to ensure that the area or the plant is controlled by the equipment by cyclone cum spark arrestor with plus jet back filter, and for induction furnace, cyclone cum spark arrest with plus jet back filter, that is 2 back filters are installed for controlling air pollution. There is a slug crusher plant. The fugitive emissions for general mitigations measures are performing air pollution control equipment, the emergency plan to be laid out tackle pollution control equipment, the CPCB as per the CPCB norms, 6 monthly basic compliance report have to mention, and the ambient air quality compliance with NAC standard shall be checked regularly for all locations. The record and the environmental design, all the officers shall certify the emission data on daily basis. Green DG sets shall be provided, and for vehicle movement due to the expansion of proposed project, traffic density will increase as all the raw material and furnace product will be transported through the road under the study. Next is traffic impact assessment. Due to the project, there is a impact on traffic also. In construction phase, in mitigation for this, we have to take some mitigation measure. For operational phase, different mitigations have to be taken care. And like air and traffic, we have again the impact and mitigation measure in the in written in this report. The impacts for the air are movement of vehicles. Due to the movement of vehicles, the noise get or the sound get impacted. The evacuation machines, the operation of DG set, these are all pollution sources of for the noise. And for these, the mitigations measures are selection of low noise generation machine per equipment, provision of rubber padding, silencer to modulate the noise generation, and appropriate training and educations will be given to the workers. And at the time of operational phase, the impact may be different, which we will have to survey, and on the basis of analysis we have to write on chapter 4, and on the basis of the impact we have to write the mitigation measure for noise control. Then we have to write the impact and mitigation measures for water environment. So during the time of construction, there we have to write about the construction phase and about the operational phase. So at the time of operational phase, 24.5 KLD and additional 179.5 KLD water is required, and for that because the water requirement is high, so extraction of groundwater may have an impact on the water hydrology. Because there is a level in the groundwater of water in we can study in hydrological part. So if we take water from the ground, there isn't some major or minor impact as per the reason. So for that, we have to take a mitigation measure. We have to install RWH pond, or we will conserve water, we will recycle the water into the plant site. And due to the effluent discharge, there are few impacts, and for that we have to write some mitigation measures. The details of water pollution control facilities are written. As per that, the pollution control systems are neutralization pit, settling pit, and septic tank with soak pit. So there is a 10 meter cube per day neutralizing pit and 2.0 meter cube per day of septic tank with soak pit is prepared or done for the horticulture. So almost 24 KLD water will be recycled or treated in the same plant. Next is the solid waste management, and for construction phase, basically the construction materials are wastage. And for operating during the time of operational phase, there is a slag, some mill scale cutting, some dust from processes are there. So as per this report, 29,000 TPA slag, 1,200 TPA of mill scale, and 130 ton per annum of dust from the processes are out from the project site. And for this management, the used oil up to 0.2 KL per year is stored or will be sold in registered site, a registered company. So as per the government rule. So next is the socio-economic environment. Again, for the construction phase and the operational phase, there is a different phases for the pollution and impact and the mitigation measures. So on the basis of the anyone having any question? Okay. So metrics on for qualitative effect of socio-economic environment. Based on this, this matrix is prepared, and then as similarly we have to write the impact and mitigation measure for the biological environment also, about the flora fauna, their mitigation measure, how we can control or have to save the flora and fauna diversity of the area, of the surrounding area. And on that basis we have to take this okay, on that basis we have to take the budget and time frame for wildlife conservation plan of the project and project proponent from the project proponent. So on that basis, every year how much money they have spent for the conservation of wildlife and the flora fauna of for saving the biodiversity or the wildlife of that area. So this is how the chapter 4 is done. And again, the occupational health is also a part of this program. So we will have to take care of occupational health of the employment generated and the nearby people. And based on that, again, the green belt development is compulsory. So for this project, almost a 3.7 acre of area is developed as a green belt. And details of trees already present in the project site, because this is an existing project. And for after that, if any area or any portion of the 33% is left behind in existing plant, then the project proponent must have to complete 33% before expansion of the project. So this is how the afforestation is done by this. For this project, the Miyawaki method they used for plantation of green belt. And these are the name of few plants which they will plant in their project site. The preparation of the area, and the budgetary provision you have to mention in the report that and at which year you have to take how many plants you have planted in this year. So first year they planted 1,200 trees, and for this the budgetary performance is 4.8 lakh. So again, the second year 12,000 trees, and for third year 717 trees. At least 85% survival rate is important for the plants. So almost 3,170 trees is planted in 3 years. And in three tier they are planted the green belt towards the boundary in the middle layer and towards the plant. And next is the rainwater harvesting. As I say, the chapter 4 is very technical in aspect of the mitigation and impact of the surrounding area, and this is very important chapter for the conservation and sustainability of the surrounding of the project site. So rainwater harvesting is also done, and the total runoff water quantity is 733.05 meter cube per hour, and design of rainwater harvesting structure is given here, and on that basis the last one is the conclusion. Through every development activities, some negative impacts on the environment of the project site, and some positive impacts is also there. So in chapter 4 you have to write all the positive and negative impact. Only positive and negative impact is not you have to don't you have write any only positive impact of the project site, because if any project is installed or implemented in any area, there is a problem of water, there is a problem of air, there is a problem of traffic, some biodiversity is lost. So both the positive and negative impact you have to mention in their report. So in this way, we will move to chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the technology and site analysis of the project, where you can write about the technology they will use in their project. So for the selection of location, the environmental sensitivity of the location are mentioned, that ESZ of Hazaribagh Wildlife Sanctuary is a distance of 8.6 km from the project site. So the boundaries of WLS is a 12.5 kilometer of the project site, but the Titahi RF is located within the 10-kilometer radius. So because as we see, the Schedule 1 species is there, so you have again know that there is some species or the biodiversity is rich in that area, and that's why they are present. So the ESZ of the sanctuary is I think it not fall. Yes, it does not fall in the notified ESZ area. So there is no ESZ clarification is required for this project. Again, no tiger reserve or elephant reserve is around the 10-kilometer radius of the project site. Again, no archaeological monuments is and defense installation in the around the project site of 10-kilometer radius, and no forest land is there. But due to some nearby 12.5 kilometer radius of the Hazaribagh Wildlife Sanctuary, or 8.6 kilometer, whatever it is, due to the distance, there is some Schedule 1 or some rich in flora and fauna of that area. And that's why we have to take in care of the biological diversity or the conservation plan of the site by the project proponent. Next is the resource availability and the selection of technology. Selection of technology is important in this chapter because there are many technology by which we can we can install any industry, or we can operate any industry. So if any technology is beneficial for our environment, for our, and again economic, not only beneficial for the point of view of environment, because economy is very important. So economically or environmentally, if any technology is viable for any industrial production, then we must have to take that technology for our production of any product. Maybe it's a rolled product or billet or any other industrial product. So in that basis, the JSV Enterprises is committed to the best technology, or controlling, treating and disposing of all type of waste to be generated during the operation of proposed plant. So that's why they are go ahead, and the committee get assigned for the installation and expansion of the project. So based on the environmental management, the several measures have to be taken for controlled fugitive emissions, solid waste to be generated, utilized or disposed of the environment friendly manner, and continuous efforts are made for the improvement of socioeconomic status. And that is how we will move to chapter 6, which is environmental monitoring program. As we have in chapter 3, all the environmental parameters for the environmental analysis to study the study area and to consistent study. We have to take or monitor the program, monitor the baseline of the study area, and for that we have to take some parameters to be monitored, which is compulsory but every 6 months. That is ambient air quality, surface water, noise level, performance of pollution control equipment, because these are the very important parameters of the surrounding area, and we will have to take care of every 6 months, because as you can see, it is written that ambient air quality will be monitored regularly in accordance with the CPCB or Jharkhand State Pollution Control Board. So this is the way they have to monitor. Monitoring locations are near the induction furnace, metal recovery crusher, and near the rolling mill. Sorry. And the monitoring effluent quality are also written in this report. Next is the training, the housekeeping, socioeconomic development, accident and disease monitoring, all are monitored after the 6 months. And we have to mention this in the 6 monthly compliance report of every industrial activity. So we have to mention the cost of environmental monitoring program for every industry. So the next is chapter 7. This chapter 7 is public hearing and the social impact assessment. The social impact assessment, data recognition exercise, the project study area, demographic profile. So based on chapter 3 and chapter 4, we have to taken care of chapter 6 and chapter 7. So the public hearing details, details are mentioned in chapter 7. That the public, as you see, public hearing was published in newspaper, which the date they have to mention, the area they have to mention, the newspaper cutting, everything. This is how the public hearing is done, and the subdivisional magistrate and conducted by the regional officer, JSPCB. This is the view of public hearing for this project. And the summary of the issue raised by the public during the public hearing and action plan. And this is how the public hearing compliances are prepared. In this way, we will write the report for chapter 7, the risk management, hazard identification from this project, that is up during the time of unloading, during the shifting, transportation. There are many hazardous and the accidents are happening. So for that, we have to mention the risk, hazard and risk level and the safety system in this report. So every parameter for the EIA is in the EIA report, we have to mention every parameter for the compliance of the project. Next is chapter 8, which is project benefit. What are the benefits of by the installation of projects for the employment, for indirect employment, improvement of infrastructure, because if any project is installed anywhere, there is a improvement in their infrastructure, the education level of the surrounding area, and other tangible effects are also there. Chapter 9 is very small. If any cost effective analysis is compulsory for any project, then you have to mention. If not, basically not compulsory for many projects, so there is a no cost benefit analysis for this project. Same as chapter 10 is very important, because what we have given in chapter 3 and chapter 4, you have to summarize this in chapter 10 as an environmental management plan. So here you can write about the total hierarchy of the system of that plant, the SOP, how can you manage the environment by the project proponent especially. And then we have to summarize all the chapters from 1 to 10 in chapter 11, which is called as a summary and conclusion of the EIA report. And after this, you have to mention the consultancy description. And this is chapter 12, where you can write the disclosure of consultant, that this report is made by this consultant or that consultant. You have to write up there. So this is the complete EIA report. This is how an EIA report is prepared. Regarding this, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box, or you can mail in our website or in our mail. We ensure that we answer your question. Yeah, program as a clinical coordinator, understand how environmental factors have to public health and help ensure that healthcare projects are safe for both people and the environment. Next is requesting to organize a 2-week course on EIA. Yes, we are organizing 2-week course. Yes, yes, so we have an occupational health and safety part in EIA report. So there is it is a important part of the compliance and the analysis or survey, because every project is important for everyone, not only for the project proponent. The nearby people are also important for the important, or they are benefited by the project proponent or by the installation of the project, both economically, by medically, or what do we say, sustainably. Join EIA program as a clinical coordinator to understand environmental factor after public health and health. Okay. Anyone have any question? Okay, Chinmoy, are you there? Yes, sure, you can leave.
Yes, I am here, Didi.
Yes.
Can we bind up this session?
Yes, we have completed the session of EIA. Tomorrow we have another session regarding the project details and the GIS, how GIS is related to the environment EIA report. And as I say earlier, we have, if anyone have interested in the technical foundation of environmental impact assessment, we have another program of EIA related after 1 month. This program, and we have different program. We have 1 month program, we have 3 months program. So anyone interested in any program, you can join our